Hello, world. I'm Jon McLaren. This is Dennis Hudson and AJ Laporte. We are developer advocates at HubSpot. Today, we're going to continue working on the developer's website. Last week, we had Anton Buyanovsky on to show off something cool that he built. It's right here.
Yeah.
And we've integrated it directly into the new developer's website. This week, we have another special guest. If you're in our developer Slack, you've probably seen messages from him. If you've used our default modules, the HubSpot boilerplate, one of HubSpot's default themes, you've probably used his work. Our special guest today is BJ, Senior Software Engineer at HubSpot. BJ and I have a unique shared history and similar history. When I came to HubSpot, BJ actually replaced me at my former company, Spin Group. After that, BJ became well-known in the HubSpot developer Slack, gave some talks, created some open source projects, and now he's here building components and default HubSpot themes that you all get to take advantage of and take inspiration from. Well, now that I've introduced y'all, how's everyone feeling this morning?
Tired.
Hot.
Sick. Just getting over a cold.
Sleep deprived myself here. So BJ described earlier, this is the A team doing C team level work today. We're going to do our best. Help us out in the chat if we get stuck. Y'all get to be a bunch of backseat developers and chime in when you think we could do something better, or if you have some cool ideas. Who knows? You might get a little fun thing like Anton has inside the developer's website. There's a comment in the code that directly states that Anton contributed that code for the Morse code. So today we're gonna be talking about, well, not talking. We're gonna build this module here. This recent updates from the developer changelog module. Dennis is 18. I think so. He's the one who makes us all look good.
I bring the average way down to maybe a C+.
All right, so we're going to be building this blog module, and it's going to go on the homepage. There's some interesting parts to it, so feel free, y'all, to AJ, BJ, and wow, that's funny. AJ, BJ, and then Dennis, the DJ. No. Anyways, feel free to draw on the screen if you want. But some interesting parts of this design is, to me, this is going to be interesting because the way that I see this responsively, that recent updates shouldn't like shift where it is, but should get like longer and whatnot. And then the other part is these are obviously the actual blog posts. So if you didn't know, the HubSpot Developer Changelog is actually a HubSpot blog. What is the font in that section you just highlighted? The one here that says recent updates, that's Queens. And then the other text here that is sans serif is Lexa and Deca.
Fun fact,
so
Lexa and Deca, you can get that on Google Fonts, I believe.
Yes, you are correct.
Queens you cannot, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we have these individual blog posts here, and there's something that we do on our changelog. Actually, let me just pull it up for you. So if you didn't know about this is important. So on the HubSpot Developer Changelog, which, by the way, if you don't know what it is, kind of critical. So this is where we announce Yeah, it's where we announce all of the feature updates that are relevant to developers. That's both the like, hey, we introduced a new API, like this new participant state API. We do these roll-ups. The roll-ups are all of the non-breaking changes that we are doing in the month. We sometimes announce betas in there, etc. And then we also have another tab. We have a change that we're like, hey, it'd be good for all of y'all to get an update early, usually 90 days in advance. If it's a breaking change, like a sunset kind of a thing, though some things will have a longer timeline for. But those show up under upcoming. So I might as well highlight this while we're talking websites and the changelog. There is an update to the CLI coming that's going to require Node 18 or higher. Previously, I believe it was Node 16. Yep, Node 16 is what we were using before. This isn't a big deal if you're using the CLI locally. So like you can just use Node Version Manager, upgrade your Node version. But an important thing is this also applies to the GitHub deploy action. So if you're using that in your GitHub repo for your websites, you're going to want to just increment the version number. You can find the details on how to do that in the developer changelog, which, by the way, is simply HubSpot, developers.hubspot.com/changelog. Am I late to the party? Anton, no, you are not late. We are talking about, we're going to be building a module for the changelog. And one of the things that we are going to be talking about here is this. So if I go into, that's a poor example. Let me pick a different post. I'll pick one of these upcoming ones. We'll do this one. That one's not the right one either. Here we go. I'll pick the one I was just talking about. Party doesn't start till end on. Right, I agree. All right, so you might have noticed this in our announcements. So we have this is the published date of when we actually announced the change. We also have this thing that indicates when usually, so this doesn't apply to every change, but if there's like a breaking aspect of a change, like in the case of the GitHub deploy action, like that could break your workflow. It's not going to break an active website. It's just going to break the workflow that you're doing. We will set a live date, and that's a special module inside of HubSpot. And my dog loves to be a part of live streams, apparently.
Where is she? Come on, get up there. Bring the dog on. Bring the dog on. There we go. Now we're coding, folks. Now we're coding.
He's all excited now because I picked him up.
For the next hour, you'll watch John chasing around a dog in his room. It's going to be captivating.
Yes. All right. So anyways, as I was explaining with that date is when usually like the breaking side of a change. His name is Everest, like the mountain. We came up with that name because we go hiking. My wife and I go hiking a lot, and he's black and white. I don't know, reminded us of mountains. Anyways, cool name. Thank you. So let's actually get into building this module.
Let's do it.
All right. So I appreciate the dog. Me too. I love having a dog. They make life so much more fun. And they add spontaneity, like all of a sudden your door flinging open in the middle of a meeting while you're live streaming. Good stuff.
This live stream is sponsored by a shelter near you. Please go adopt the dog now.
Yes. All right. As you can see, I started this module just a little bit, but it doesn't look anything like the mock yet. But I did want to walk you through some things because I thought, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask BJ a question here.
Ooh.
So, BJ, say you're working in a sandbox account, a CMS sandbox account, or another account to kind of stage this website. How would you handle doing the blog? Like if you're trying to make something look, please don't vomit in here. I'm doing a live stream.
First thing I would do is probably throw up in the corner. And then no. So if the question, I've got, some kind of a test portal and then a live portal, and I want to try to make them look the same. What do I do?
Yeah. So that you can kind of be able to test and have it look like you're working with the real like blog data.
But not necessarily one-to-one copy, right? Just similar. Like, does it have, can be dummy copy in there?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 100% the same. Just enough to make it so that you can get the idea.
Yeah, so largely leveraging just the CLI in general, just to make sure that I can get like the code. Ooh, thumbs up. To make sure that I can get the code, transferring over smoothly, and that it's the same, and then I don't have to like copy and paste and like port modules over. Are you talking about just like data in general, or?
Yeah, more like, so you've got blog posts already on your production account, but you want to do a redesign of the blog or create a module that needs that data, basically. But
Yes.
You're working in a sandbox. How would you approach that?
I don't have it handy at the moment, but I can do some digging to try to find it. But I do have like a script that I use that just has a whole bunch of dummy JSON that I will fire off at a specific portal, and it will just upload a whole bunch of like blog articles. So I typically will use that if I'm working with like a blog or something that's easily connected to the API. And that just fires off consistent data and gives me all the images and makes sure all the properties are updated to what I like want them to be. But it's typically just lorem. Otherwise, if it's like a real fast thing and I know just like the like structure that I need, I'll probably just create like a little Hubble array with some dummy data in the module that I'm going to be building. And then when I make it or turn it into the production version, I'll just hack that part out and connect it to the actual data.
Yeah, that's a great way of handling it. And I like that you explained like here's the quick and dirty way that I'll do, and here's like a little bit more robust way. I'm going to show on third way. So I already preemptively started this because the production account I don't really want to show on screen, but I can mimic it in our portal just so that everyone can see. So we're going to go into this account, and then we would go to the settings. And actually, if I remember right,
That's a good point.
Easiest way to get to it.
I would say just use an RSS feed and just style it from there. And like how you said, BJ, then just get the styling and stuff down and then just start replacing the parts inside the code that need to be replaced.
I like that way too. That's a creative way. I never really thought about doing it that way. And no Carter or no Dennis, I'm guessing, is who put that in there. I'm not saying BJ is wrong. My advice is always pick to do the thing that is going to like make it so that you can get the work done fastest. like, don't over engineer it, don't overthink it. Just pick something that's going to help you be efficient. And there's a lot of different strategies. This one is a little bit different. So I have, like, I would do this in the production account, but you can go to actions, and then you can literally just export all the blog posts for a blog. And you can grab them in CSV format. Another trick, this will work best on blogs that don't have special data. So I mentioned that we have that, that live date. That is why I'm exporting it. But I'm at least hoping that shows up in the import. But the other trick is HubSpot blog importer. If you didn't know about this, we have a tool called Smart Copy. This is the other lazy way. This is about equivalent maybe to doing the RSS trick that AJ mentioned. So you can use Smart Copy, and basically you just point the Smart Copy tool at and actually I can just kind of show it with, well, I can only partially show it. So you'd go into site settings and you go import blog, start new import, and you can pick blog posts or website content. In our case, you'd want to pick blog posts. You can pick Smart Copy. I'm not going to actually go all the way through it, but you tell it the listing page, and then you also tell it an individual blog post. And then you can also try to tell it what other platform you're using to host it on, and then what blog you want to import those posts to. So the cool part about it is we have some cool machine learning stuff going on behind the scenes. And basically we go, this is the blog post title, this is the content, let's scrape it all and import it as HubSpot blog posts. Works great. The only situations you might have some weirdness is if you've had, like, if you're doing, like, for example, WordPress and you've got complicated block structures going on, it might import that a little funky, but that's like with any platform. The other way, which is the way that we're going to do it today, is we're going to pick CSV file upload. And I'm going to pick to create a new blog. We'll do change blog. Hopefully it's not going to have an issue because I did have the other change log one in there. Will it work with custom modules on blog post page? So that's what I was referring to, is if you had like WordPress blocks in your blog post, it's not going to know to map them to the custom modules. You would have to fix that yourself. All right, current blog platform, HubSpot blog, and then I have this file. And actually, kaboom.
Magic.
Blog empty. Uh-oh. What did I do? Changelog empty.
I do think that this is a far more thorough process than I will typically go to for a staging environment.
Certainly for me as well. Yeah.
I think my staging environment is typically the second option that I said, where I'm like, I just make like a random Hubble variable that's an object, and like it probably isn't even mapped to the same properties, but I just need some like content to know that it's pulling in, and I'll like worry about remapping it later.
I'm pretty much of what Carter said, and I will have several dummy posts about chickens that I will have ready at the go at any one point in time.
I think it's great that you guys use staging. I just do it live. You know what? Why not have a little bit of fun with it? Why not?
There you go.
I call that cowboy coding. Featured image.
What's going on here, John? Walk us through what you're doing.
So, basically, I have that CSV file, and it's got a bunch of columns, and we're just telling HubSpot what those columns mean. And so we're mapping HubSpot's version of the blog property to what's in the file. Wait, is there actually a blog in staging?
I don't.
So if you're referring to content staging, there is not a blog system inside of content staging. But we're talking about, we have 2 HubSpot accounts. We have basically a CMS sandbox account that we're doing our templates and whatnot in. And that's kind of like where, like, I think of it as like my feature branch, if you're thinking in like GitHub terms.
Your safe place.
I'm working, my safe place. No one else gets affected by me borking my sandbox. But if I did that to production, that might make people cry. So
sometimes in my safe place, I cry. Just putting it out there. And we can talk about that later on if you want to.
I mean, it is the same.
Don't worry, Dennis. We'll know.
That's
right. Publish date. All right, post body. So as BJ noted, like, this might be a bit much for your project. Like, if it's a normal blog, like if there's not anything special to it, doing either the smart copy or CSV import might be a little bit much. Maybe you're just doing a normal blog. You could just throw in, like, create some blog posts that are just placeholder. That's what I originally had in this portal, but I wanted to show you guys that you could just literally put the posts in, and that's a useful way of doing it. So I will refresh. Now, what way would you, BJ, AJ, Dennis, what way would you guys get the data into this module? Like, which way would you pick? Would you do, like, well, I'll just let you answer that without hinting.
I shamelessly say that I often forget that GraphQL exists because I'm old school HubSpot. And I typically just go the Hubble route at this point. However, I feel like I have been inside of the React modules world quite a bit recently. So starting to leverage a lot of that, although a lot of the data hydration is still using like Hubble variables. So I try to leverage Hubble as much as I can. But GraphQL when I remember that it's actually there.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would go the Hubble route, but I completely forgot about GraphQL until you just mentioned it. And it's probably the more efficient routes to go, for sure.
Wait, does that age a person now? Are we aged when we say we go the Hubble route? When
pre JavaScript or pre GraphQL? Is that where we're
Grandpa Dennis over here? I'll put some Hubble in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to use tables to do everything. So I just.
Roman asked, are there limits for GraphQL requests per page? Yes, there are limits. However, for most things, though, you will be fine. This is the wrong page. Let's see. Further reading. It is on this page. So, as Carter mentioned, there is a points system. Let's see. Queries, complexity, and account limits. Okay, so the gist is that you are spending points on your query based on a bunch of different factors that you don't have to be that consciously aware of using. The only thing you care about is the end result of what the total points is. I did show on stream last time. Let's see. I got the link right here for GraphQL. That's not the one I wanted. Oh. There we go. Going to.
So as you walk through
screen.
I mean, on a blog, John, using GraphQL, you shouldn't really worry about hitting those points. I mean, let's pretend like I have a blog that is going out to the world and there's going to be 3 billion people looking at it at the same time. I might worry about it then, but not normally, right?
Yeah. So the main thing that you care about is if you're getting data, like a bunch of different data types, that's when it's going to get expensive. So let me show you an example. I don't have real contacts in this account, but this is an example of query complexity, like what you get back that gives you the points is for a marketplace listed theme. One moment, I'll answer that. But so regarding points, basically you get a breakdown of the points that you're spending per API request, points for the objects retrieved, points for properties with values and without values, and the weighting. And I also got an error there. But anyways, the gist is that you get a breakdown, and you can see it when you're making your GraphQL queries, like creating them in GraphQL, which if you want to see a good breakdown of how you can use GraphQL so that you don't even have to really learn GraphQL, you can watch the prior stream. I'm not going to dive too much into it today, but basically those limits, as we were talking about, are just a point value, and you want to stay under that point value. And simple queries like just grabbing blog, you're not going to hit it. You're definitely not going to hit it. So we were discussing, I was going to come back to Romans. Is GraphQL a good approach for marketplace listed themes? I wish Nick Laporte was on to actually help us answer. I do not know confidently if GraphQL is fully supported in marketplace themes or not, but I would say that yes, it would be a good approach if it is.
AJ, would you walk over and get your brother?
I mean, I could. I did message him, but then I realized that's right. He's not in today because he's actually out and about. But I am going to run into him a little bit later today, so I can ask him. I mean, I know where it's okay.
Yeah, one of the reasons I consider it a good approach is GraphQL is very transparent with the structure of the data. So you know exactly what you're getting. And so if someone needs to make like a child theme or something, that could be pretty useful. Or if they want to make a module that leverages that same data, that could be pretty awesome. Then they don't have to do all the hard work of doing a bunch of Hubble functions and like reconfiguring all the data.
Yeah,
so in this,
a lot of times the places that I've like found myself relatively forced to use GraphQL is like when I can't do the thing via Hubble, or doing the thing via Hubble is gonna like
Sorry, that's me again. I keep forgetting to do this.
That are doing the thing by Hubble just means that like I have to make like 5 different Hubble calls to different functions in order to like get the right associations. So a lot of times for like blogs or something relatively simple where like I'm just grabbing, info that I know exists on the like blog object itself, I'll just use Hubble. But a lot of times for something closer to like more complicated line items or like getting into quotes is when I find GraphQL to be very useful, because a lot of times you'll need to associate like a line item with a contact record with like a company or something like that.
Mhm.
And using GraphQL just to grab all of those associations is a lot nicer, versus, you know, making a couple different like object association Hubble calls to like try to get yourself there. That's where I've seen it give me its the bangest bang for my buck.
I 100% agree. And so, based on the way that you explain that, how do you think that you would, like, which of those options would you pick for a simple blog listing like this?
If this is just a blog listing, my default's Hubble. It's fast for me.
Yeah.
So
Why
that's
would you go?
that's
Is there a
what I would-
reason why you wouldn't for something as simple as this?
Because you want to be cool.
One reason that I might, but not, I'm not going to. So I 100% agree with BJ here. The only time I might do GraphQL for a module like this is in the past. I've done situations where I might need to combine a list of multiple blogs, like blog posts together as if it was one blog. That might be a time where I'd want to use GraphQL, but even then, it's not that like drastically different to just use Hubble to do the same thing. So yeah, today we're going to use Hubble for it because it doesn't, I don't see an advantage otherwise. Query filters, paging just makes more sense in GraphQL. Yeah, I agree. In this case, we don't need pagination. We're just displaying 4 posts. And if people want to see more posts, they'll go to the actual changelog itself. This is just going to be on the homepage. So one thing that we do want, though, is, let me from here, we do have one important thing that matters because we're on a sandbox account and we have our production account. We can't just like use the blog's ID. So we want it to be able to map over. There's a few different ways of doing it. If you only had one blog, you could just literally you could do like this. So go,
Hey, John, you want to bump the zoom on that? Maybe like a couple clicks. Boom.
Is that one fine, or should I do it one more?
We'll wait for the comments. People yell at you, and I'll allow them to yell at you a lot if necessary.
So the Hubble that you would do if you were just trying to like if you only had one blog is you would do default. This grabs the first blog that's in your HubSpot account. If you have multiple blogs, you might want to be more specific. In our case, we're going to do that. We're going to set, we'll just call it blog because I'm not feeling original. Actually, blog, yeah, we'll just call it blog. And then we're not going to use default because we have like 50 blogs on our production portal, so that ain't gonna work. We need to be able to pick it, and the easy way of doing it is we're going to create a field. So BJ has a better way of doing this that he's been using lately than I'm going to use right now, called fields.js.
What are you talking about?
I love the eyes just slowly getting larger.
So I'm not using that in this case. I'm just going to thought my cursor was somewhere else. I'm just going to use a normal fields JSON file. I do recommend if you are building a lot of websites, learn to use the fields.js method, because then you can do things like have field groups that are in a JavaScript file that is separate from your individual module, and then you can basically like import that group of fields into multiple modules, making it kind of like you have global fields for your modules. An example use case is like if you have styling fields for like padding above and below your module, or you have like certain backgrounds that are common across your site. So like if you didn't notice something that I did on our site, I do this with all the sites that I build, is I go through and I find all the background colors or all the colors that we do. I generate these background classes so that we can quickly use these backgrounds. And something I also will do is I'll go, okay, when we have this background, we usually have this color text. Even if I have to override that at a module level, it still makes things easy. So for example, I did that here. So all of this text is white because these backgrounds are the other colors. Hey, SJ's here. Welcome, SJ. So totally recommend Fields.js. Can save yourself a ton of time, especially if you build a lot of HubSpot websites. Is this JavaScript run locally, or it's run? Actually, I believe it's. Correct me if I'm wrong, BJ, and if you know, but I believe it's run locally before uploading the fields JSON to HubSpot.
I think that if you run the upload, so it can be either way. But I'm pretty sure that if there's a watch command for it, and I could be wrong, but there's a watch.
So what you're saying is,
it.
So what you're saying is the classic web developer. Well, it depends.
Yeah, yeah. I'm fairly certain that if you just run the HubSpot watch command, it kicks it up, and either I want to say that it's compiled when it's converted into fields.json when it's like uploaded. However, you can tell it to build it locally so that you can like debug it and see what the output is. But it might also just be that it creates it locally, it uploads the fields.json, and then it deletes it right away. But I guess I'm not sure.
Totally legitimate answer. I love it.
Forgot I muted myself. My dog started barking, so I sent him out of the room.
Never mute a dog barking, John. That is insensitive.
Someone with a puppy,
Right.
It's okay to mute. It's okay to mute.
All right, what are we pulling up here? What are we doing?
So I'm pulling up the page to edit it. I'm going to edit the module that we're working on. Dogs are invited to live code as well. Yes. We're going to pick the blog. We're picking changelog in this case. So the con to doing this method, if you don't set the default. So if I knew what the ID was in the production account, you could set the default to be that blog's ID. And what it will do is it will show an error on your sandbox portal when you click on this. It'll be red, and that's basically saying, hey, like you're trying to call a blog that doesn't exist here. What are you doing? And so on your sandbox portal, you would then pick the changelog, or I mean, not changelog, your blog. And then on production, it would just automatically go to the right blog. That's one way of doing it. That's better than I'm doing it right now. I'm just going to make it so that you have to pick the blog manually. Can we have styles.json inside module for styles tab ever? Inside module for styles tab ever. I think that what you're asking is, can you have the CSS in your module have Hubble in it? And if you need to do that, the current solution is you'd put it in your module.html and you'd wrap it with require underscore CSS. I don't have a good example to show you right now to demonstrate that. But the reason that it's done this way is HubSpot does something intelligent or at least tries to help you do something intelligent with your CSS. So if you were generating your CSS using Hubble, say you had a module field that was determining, like say you had like a number field here, and it was going to determine, I don't know, the number of nth child CSS selectors or something crazy. The problem is that's module specific, and this module.css file is going to only load once, regardless of how many instances of that module you have on a page. And they're going to have the same CSS selectors, so you'd just be like creating a whole bunch of collisions. You'd have your CSS overwriting itself, and that's not good. And then you'd also like, in order for HubSpot to actually do that, we'd have to load multiple separate CSS files because it would be per instance is different. The first instance of the module, you have a 3 in that number field. The fourth instance, you might have a 1. And so we have to load multiple CSS files in that case, and that just isn't a good experience. So the flip side is doing the require CSS method. That way you can separate the code that is reused for every module from the code that is specific to an individual module. Hope that answers your question. Hopefully I didn't lose people explaining that.
Well, I mean, viewers were at like 40, and now we're down.
Yeah.
To
Wow, John.
Oof. All right, so now that we know what the we've got our blog picked inside the editor, we now need to actually get that value in here. So module.blog, and that's just the field name, is .blog or is blog. And then we're just going to display that. And we'll pretty print it. Gonna look horrendous.
You got an extra set of braces on the end of it.
Double Lego hands, as we now call them. Thank you, Evelyn.
All right. So this is correctly grabbing the right one. Did I pick the right blog?
That's my private journal, John.
Oh no! You're journaling about the dad joke generator app by Wolf.
Yes.
Oh no!
Clearly.
And this is why John's no longer allowed to help with marketing. See other post titles for reasoning. Yep. That's my dummy posts for just before when I was prototyping. Let's see if I maybe didn't actually select the blog. That's probably something I would do.
I mean, we've all done it. Let's be honest. It's, it happens.
Yep, that seems like that's what I did. Log, change log, update. Oh, I don't need to create a developer account.
Can you set
refresh.
this? Would it be possible to do it like where you have the selector, the field, but if it's null, can you like say if null then default for your the blog that'll display?
Yeah. So if you wanted to do that, there's a really easy way to do it.
Look at that.
And then you can put in the blog ID that you want. You can do that with any variable. All right, I'm drawing a blank on why it's not pulling the blog that I'm expecting it to pull, but it doesn't really matter too much. All we need to do is loop through and generate these blog posts. So for blog post,
if you just print out module.blog, is that the right ID? I don't get why it wouldn't be, but
I don't know why. Lego hands are driving me nuts today. All right. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. What do we got? Oops. I had an error. It didn't like the ones. All right, I'm gonna rerun that. Everyone who's watching now just instinctively check their notifications out of paranoia.
Should change the sound. I think you can change that sound, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Honestly, Nick's got the Mario sound where he
it did it again. Oh, I feel silly. So just because I was trying to talk and code at the same time,
that would be good. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say Roman
Just
called
trying
it
to
out.
crash HubSpot's. Just trying to crash HubSpot servers while we're live streaming. That's how we're doing today. I'm joking. If you create an loop, we're just gonna end the loop on you or error and not let you actually deploy your broken code. So why am I not seeing it?
Is that the actual name of the module?
Okay, actually,
I guess it is. You have content.
Arc is just frozen. Dennis, Arc is letting me down this week.
With Arc, I have to bust cache a lot.
It's because it's very efficient, and so what?
So John, wondering, did it not publish all of your articles when you brought them in?
That's a great point. Yeah, you are 100% correct, I think. So let me return to the dashboard. Ready for import. Hey, how many HubSpotters did it take to import some blog posts?
Awesome.
So as you can see, this takes some extra steps. All right. And Arc is now acting really slow. Oh, there we go. Import all as published because we're YOLOing this.
Yeah, overwrite it all, man.
Do it.
Like we said, we didn't script any of this. This is all live debugging and everything in real time. So you get what you get, and hopefully you learn some lessons like you should check in on when your import's done. Can we push to production? Can we push to production just to see how it looks? It's Friday.
Do it.
Let's go.
There are managers crying hearing that right now. All right. Now, if I refresh, let's see what we get here.
Yeah.
Blog post. All right. And long-standing. Yep. Perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. No risk, no fun. So the reason it's looping and creating a bunch of I'm a blog post is just because we're not actually printing the information for the blog posts yet. We're just doing this. So let's look at, well, let's do this. Blog post dot, I forget offhand. By the way, if you forget what you can actually look at this. So if you pretty print the listing, or if you do it like this, just do blog post. It's going to get real verbose real quick, but I am making lots of Hubble errors. All right, we'll take that out for now, and then we'll rerun this.
I think it's just name.
It's like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just name, but I can't remember whether name is actually the internal name or the published title name. So I'm going to verify it, but
I think aren't they the same? I'm pretty sure if you like go up to the top and change the name, it changes the like heading unless you have a custom thing there.
Okay, so starting right here, blog post. This is giving you literally, if you've ever used this feature here, by the way, totally encourage you to dive into this. For every HubSpot page, blog post, etc., you can dive into the developer info.
There's a lot in developer info. For those that like have never like trekked into there, you can do so. There are so many variables and things in there that you probably don't even realize are in there.
Yeah, and so all of your module data, all of the data that is saved to the actual page is in here. Little bit of caution though. There are certain things that we have to do that may not be obvious, and it only comes around things like modules specifically. So, for example, say you created a template and you have a module and it has default values for fields. Those default values do not show up in this data. And the reason for that is because that data is not saved to the page. There's a lot of clever reasons behind it, but basically we want it so that, say you override that default value for the module at the template level, well, we should give that value instead of your default module's value. And then say at the page level, you then update it. Well, then we need to save it to the page object instead. Try this module to JSON. Yes, that's a good trick as well. That's to get the data for the specific module that you're working with. If I can just show that on screen real quick. So it's a great tip. You don't even have to console log it. You could just print it if you want. But if you care about it showing on the page, then console log it. And just like last time, my earbuds are falling out. So we were thinking that it was name.
Everyone else seems to think it's title, so maybe we try title. It could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I just go fast.
Whoever gets it wrong gets booted from the stream.
Whoa!
There's stakes to this now. All right. That looks correct to me. That looks correct. Except, handling null values. For a second there, I thought that was actually like we were pulling a null value. It's like, what? No. That's the name of the post. All right. We're going to get rid of, we don't need this anymore because we know what we're grabbing. We don't need this anymore. All right. And then for most folks, it is, I believe it's publish date. Blog post dot publish. Hey, look at that. This is from the HubSpot Developer VS Code extension. If you have that installed, you can get these handy little tips. It is amazing, especially if you do not want to look it up in the docs. And I will, wait, why?
Yeah, because it's going to replace it with
I was
content.
Yeah. All right. I'm picking the localized version.
You got to change it back to blog post.
Yeah.
Change the content.
You're right.
BJ is never wrong.
Except for when I am.
All right. Sweet. Now we have the date and the time. And then we also need our summary text. And that one, I completely forgot what it is.
Listing summary, maybe. I like to just guess.
All right, let's just give it a shot. Blog post listing summary. I think you're right. Let's just try it. Nope.
Dang.
It was a good try, though. It was very,
Thank
very.
you.
Post summary. Yeah.
Post
I'm with
summary.
post
Yeah,
summary.
post.
Okay. If if you manage to see that little tooltip, there's a joke reference to one of our former HubSpot Academy developer professors in there. Anyway, let's open up the docs because that's allowed. HubSpot variables. I thought I already opened it, but
I think it's post summary, post list summary. We got a lot of options for
It's fun out there right now. I like this. This is good. The winner of this will get a non-existent prize from me at a non-existent time. So good luck up there.
Okay. So if you haven't checked out this page, it is hugely useful. The developer docs has a nice Hubble variable breakdown. It breaks down a lot of the variables that are in developer info, but not everything. Post list summary is what folks are saying.
Post list content, though. What about that post list content? What's that? Body content.
Modified for the listing page. Selected by summary settings. This seems like the right thing.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Or post summary.
What's post list summary then? Is it just an alias?
I think post list content is new. I don't remember seeing that.
Do them all. Do them all, John.
Yeah, do them all.
Well, post list summary is just giving me an error, so I don't know if that's a thing. All right, post list content. Error is gone.
Cool.
If John would just stop making Hubble errors, then this would go a lot faster. Oh,
probably if that didn't work, I guess
if you save the file.
It should be post summary.
Well, the post list content we were just looking is like a new thing. And it looks like the difference is that post list content pulls from like the settings that you have in like blog list summary settings.
Yeah.
This is real weird.
Is that a 400 error you got?
No, it looks
400.
like it. You saw 400. Status code 400. You're right. But what it said here was interesting. It said D&D area is disabled in this context. So
it's one of your modules probably.
One of the blog posts has it.
Yeah.
So what happens if we try that other thing we were doing? What was it? Post. How many HubSpot developers does it take to get the right variable?
Was it just post summary?
Yeah.
Post summary. That sounds more right.
Yeah, there's post summary. There's also RSS summary, which looks like it's pretty much the same thing.
Probably going to give us the same error if we got a module in there.
Hopefully not.
Because I think it's a module and module thing.
Inside one of the posts, yeah. I agree. And I don't have time to fix that, so I'm hoping it just works. Please just work.
Just out of curiosity, in the posts that you imported, did you have like meta descriptions or anything in there?
Yeah, the meta versions should be there. I think this is the same error. So for context, for those who don't know, what's happening here is on the HubSpot developer changelog.
Like I said, that was really
We
great.
do a thing. We do a thing. I'll try and find a post that's got one. Advocates, if you have an example, I'm looking for one that's got a code block on it. Couple time filters. This one that might be too short. How long it's?
Oh my gosh, are people gonna get
Let's
a look
fill it.
behind the curtain at some?
And the orange curtain.
Wow.
Only kinda.
Everyone sign the contract here, non-disclosure.
Yeah. So in situations where we have a block of code that we need to display, man, here we go. So in situations like this where we have a block of code, we are using a HubSpot module. My tab game is very strong. My tab game is only strong because of Arc. You haven't even seen me whipping out the add split view. I love that.
All right, John,
anyway.
John, calm down, calm down. Get back onto topic
All right.
here.
So anyways, this is a module, and we don't have in this account, we don't have it set up for using D&D in the sandbox account. We do have that set up in the production account. So that's the problem, and it's unfortunate. The other time that we do it, we should do it on this blog post, but we will sometimes also on our blog posts have those headings, just like you see in our docs, where you can mouse over to the left side of it and you can copy a permalink to the individual heading. That's in case it's super useful to reference a specific section. So that's the problem that we're facing. I'm going to try to move on.
Can you slap
quickly,
a render? Can you slap a render on the end of that filter? So blog posts, just blog or post summary. Get rid of the list. Yeah.
Is that filter working yet?
I think it's in the. I feel like I've used it.
Okay. All right, let's save this page again. Let's see if it works. Come on, save. Here we go. Brush. Doesn't look like it's doing anything.
But you're not getting an error, right?
Yeah, there's no error now, though, right?
Hang on. It looks like it's not detecting the... Oh, no. There we go. There's the error. It just took a while. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that trick's going to work. But so what I was just going to do for now as a placeholder, and I would...
You could
love
do
it if this will just work.
the post body truncate for now. That might just be like a temporary.
That's a good idea. It might have the same issue though, because the post body would have those modules in it. So I'm just going to cheat it for now. We'll do it for real eventually. I'll do that off stream. Well, you're all going to be able to hold me accountable. If all of a sudden when you get to the developer's homepage and we've deployed it live and you're like, John, you didn't put the post summary in here. We don't know what these are even referring to.
Quo tempore.
So, anyways.
Quo tempore.
All right, why? There we go. Jeez, that took a while. Okay, so this is going to just be a placeholder for now. We need to make it look like the mock-up. The mock-up looks like this. As y'all saw earlier. So we have these cool dots up here. We have that heading thing right here, and we have the dates, and then we have this cool bar, and then we have the title and the description text or summary text and a read more link. So let's quickly make that happen. I believe, and I don't remember what the class is called. I might be using it here, actually. Let's see. Nope, I'm not using it there. Inspect. No list. So I have a class, and this is in the boilerplate. For no list, I don't think I renamed that. But if we go and add that to our UL,
list be gone.
Boom.
exactly. Kaboom. Now we are no longer having those bullets. Thanks for joining us, Roman. It's been awesome having you. Thanks for suggesting the console log thing, etc. The for loop post body try. Sorry, I'm just catching up on what people posted. Looks like it was all related to trying to get that summary text. All right, so let's try and make it look more like the mock-up. The mock-up's got title shows up after the date, so let's put the date first. And if you're not familiar with it, there is a time element in HTML that you then pass the date time to, and it's got to be in one of a set of specific formats. I don't recall. That might be the correct format. Oop, wrong button. I Googled it just to make sure earlier that I was doing it correctly, or like that I knew what the formats were. So we needed in this format is not in the right format. We can put it into this format, literally using format date time. By the way, there's an update to format date time. I don't know. You know what? We don't care about the exact seconds and hours. We care about the actual date here. So we're going to do blog post dot publish date. And then we're going to do format date time. We'll get rid of this. And I believe the next field is the page that I want. And for context, the reason that you might want this time element is that it's formatted date, publish date, format date.
Okay.
It looks like Anton's trying to do the work for me.
None of us are helping, so it makes sense.
That gets me the year, but I actually need the full format, but I can still get it from what you're doing. So I will change from using the function to the filter. There's not really a practical reason to use the filter here. I was even doing it wrong. I had the curly braces or Lego hands in the wrong spot. Anyway, format, not format, format, date. Oh, but
one word. Date time is one word. Yeah.
Thank you. And then I believe it is just bam. And let's take a look at our page. Yeah, Anton will have so many credits on this site. You're right. I'm worried that at some point he's going to get over part-time hours and get into the full-time, and he's going to need benefits. This is scary. All right, this is looking perfect. This is exactly what we wanted. Thank you, Anton. All right. All right. So we will also want to we'll do a div to wrap around our summary. And then we'll add a link. I think that the default is blog post dot, is it just URL? I think so. Read. And then we'll do a span.
Anyone here who has not submitted this form, go ahead and it'd be great if you all could do this to let us know how this is going so we can know if we should do this in the future.
100%. We also want any feedback that you have, like how can we do this in a more fun, engaging, or just better way. Let's have a chat, John. Yeah. Legal says that I should avoid that. All right.
By the way, John, while you're typing this all out, I want to let people know that next month at the Developer Hub, we will be talking about GraphQL, and our friend, if he's still here, Carter, will be also on that session.
Ooh, John, I think it might be blogpost.absolute URL.
You are right. You are right. My memory was off there. My Hubble foo is a little weak. All right. There we go. Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's like a website or something.
Yeah, it's starting to look like a real thing. Like we actually are building something. All right. And for context, in case you were like...
Sorry. Useless commentary on my part. Powered by a developer changelog. Can we just change that to powered by Anton?
Yes. If you were wondering what I was doing here, where I added a span, basically a problem with links, and both AJ and Dennis know this about me. The thing that drives me, like it's a pet peeve of mine, it drives me nuts, is anytime somebody puts like click here as a link, like don't do that, please. Or if it's just the word here, that should not be the text that is the link. The reason, so we brought this up on a prior stream, not the same concept, but this is it's about to go wild when my computer catches up. But this is the screen reader taking its sweet time.
DJ Solaris.
VoiceOver on application. Styles window. Styles page. Web content has keyboard focus. You are currently on web content. To enter the web area, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
Okay.
Link. Read more about the claim or requires no V18 or higher change. List 10 items. You are currently on the link. To click this link, press Control, Option, Space.
Okay, so it doesn't know how to pronounce CLI, but that's better than this. Let me just show you what the alternative is.
Code not responding. Code not responding. Selection.
Apologies.
Selection replaced. Right brace. You are currently on the text area inside of the group. R. Styles window. Link.
Right.
Read more about the claim or refresh the page. You are currently in the window. Styles page. Website English. Resources. Collapse. Button. Group.
Okay.
You are currently on the button. Link. Read more. List 10 items. You are currently on the link. To click this link, press Control, Option, Space.
That is actually John's stock number. I love it. Okay, so what I just did made this worse. This is what a lot of people will do on their websites. They'll make it so that the read more links just literally are the text read more. So when I hit tab,
link, read more. You are
Cool.
currently on a link. To click this link, press Control, Option, Space.
If I am relying on a screen reader to interpret this page for me, I don't even know what this link is going to. All it says is read more. So there are tricks that screen reader users can use. They can do things like they can hit a keyboard shortcut, if I remember right, to get what the URL is. But if it can't pronounce CLI correct, do you think it's going to read out a URL in a understandable way? Not really. So best practice, have some screen reader only text if you
Code,
visually want it.
module.html, HubSpot Developers website 2000, voiceover off.
Everest.
You're grounded. So best practice is have some screen reader text. If you have something that says read more, earn more, don't ever have text that says click here. I will find you.
He will.
haunt
It's not.
you.
It's not. He's not even joking. I have nightmares still from John yelling about this like 10 years ago.
So if it just says click here, that's worse. Read more about blog post title. That's exactly. Oh, that is another approach. However, it will be extra noisy. I guess that's worth me demoing real quick.
Come on, Everest, get back on here.
Undo that. Yeah, I'm gonna show you why that's probably not the right approach. Aria label. All right, and we will have it say read more. Okay, save. And introduce a hubler somewhere because it's how I do. All right, right here. I feel like we should have a counter for these streams of how many errors we run into. Can be a little game. All right, so make sure it's uploaded that file. Okay, now it's uploaded. Let's refresh, and then I will turn on the screen reader again. And for folks who didn't watch the prior stream, you can turn on the screen reader on a Mac by using Command F5. On my keyboard, though, I don't know if I can show it on stream easy. I'm using a Windows keyboard. So I made it my Alt key is Command. Confusing for everyone else, not for me. But right.
Voiceover on application, styles, window, link. Read more about Clean more requires no V18 or higher. List 10 items. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control, Option, Space.
So it actually did.
Hello.
Good choice of music, by the way.
Menu, 7 items. Closing menu. Start listening. Default. Button. Arc. Styles. Window. Link. Read more
That's what
about Clean more
happens when
requires no
you use
V18 or
earbuds.
higher. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control, Option, Space.
All right, and my computer is also
Read more about
overheating.
defaulting HS underscore timestamp to meeting start time and meetings engagement API. You are currently on a link. To click voiceover off.
Okay, so Anton, at least in the case of someone using Arc and using the voiceover tool on Mac, that trick works. Your ARIA label trick works. I don't think that the way that it reads it is consistent across all of the different browsers and screen reader options that you can have. So I would lean against it because what it might do is instead of reading out the label or just the label, it will read out the label and the text itself. And that's way worse for someone who's just trying to understand what the link is because they're going to hear it twice. And that would just be really annoying. So we're not going to use that. We're just going to use the span trick. I have no idea how far probably overtime we are. Oh no, we're close. We're at, or let's see, 12.
Oh,
we are over. We're over, but it's all right. I have an extra
So
space here.
we on Cat have been on a very big security kick lately. So something that's glaring at me right now is that we've got these new sanitize and escape filters. So on the URL, we would definitely put a escape underscore URL. And then depending on how the blog post.title is intended to be used, would either sanitize HTML or escape HTML.
Can you go into more detail of why, BJ? These are important things to think about.
Yeah, so especially with like the URLs and well, really just everything, right? The gist is that there might be a bad actor that somehow gets your credentials into your portal, and instead of just stealing stuff, they want to remain relatively undetected. So what they do is they add a query to the end of a query string to the end of a URL, and insert a script tag inside of there that's just like harvesting data. And then the same thing might be the case for like a page. They might create a page, they might edit your code a little bit, create a page, just inject a rich text editor and like add like some variables in there from your portal, right? Where, say you've got HIPAA compliant stuff now, right? You can have a protected page that's just spitting out, HIPAA stuff.
Oof. Yeah.
Even if it wasn't the HIPAA stuff, like just print all contact emails. That's
Right.
horrifying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're escaping or sanitizing raw data, whether it's coming from a module or whether it's coming from just a variable in general. Anytime that you're printing something on the page that isn't just raw HTML, like the lorem ipsum that we're using for our summary. But anytime we're pulling from module dot or a HubSpot variable, we want to make sure that we're trying to sanitize things. Yeah.
Cool. That's great information.
Yeah, 100%.
Have we pushed that to the boilerplate yet, or is that still in the process? Or will that?
I think we're working on updating all of the default assets right now for that. So we've got a bunch of PRs that are either just getting pushed or being reviewed. It's in the docs. And then, the next step is going to be updating boilerplate stuff with it.
Good to see you, John Fuller.
Great advice. Another instance, just in case you're doing this, is really common. So if you have like a membership-based site on HubSpot and users can submit data that you're later going to render onto a page, that is a perfect time to be doing this sanitizing, like he's saying. Another instance is like if users submit data and you're putting it into like a HubDB, and then that HubDB is later going to get displayed on pages. Again, it's best practice. Sanitize it. We do some things behind the scenes by default, but it's better to just be proactive about it and never trust the user, as Alexander said.
Never.
And the difference between escape and sanitize would be that if you have like HTML and you're saying escape it, it is going to turn it into just a raw character. And if you're saying sanitize, it's going to convert it into the, I forget what it is, but the like HTML safe thing. So it will still be HTML, it just won't be the character.
Right.
So where is really important is in like if you're like multi-lang sites, and I'm going to pick on German, but like German's got a lot of umlauts and like crazy accents and stuff like that. So if you escape that
and
HTML,
Tom left, it's okay, right?
Yeah, right. If you escape that HTML, it won't render that properly anymore, right? And it'll say like whatever the character is, like e or something like that, instead of like the umlau character. Whereas if you sanitize it, you'll get the actual character that you're looking to render.
Beautiful advice. Okay, while you were doing that, what I did was I added a class to the list item, and I did add the sanitization filters as you mentioned, and I'm just going to display flex. And the reason I'm doing that is just to get the date and the title and content side by side. You don't really need flex for this. I'm just being, I don't know, I've been over relying on flex possibly lately instead of just making things inline.
Yeah, man.
Whatever.
Flex. I love it. I flex
It's
everything.
wonderful.
I was gonna say, would you say you're flexing your CSS skills at this point, or?
Yeah. Flex, wrap, we'll change it on mobile. Yeah, we'll make this totally display different on mobile, I think. But we'll go into our CSS. I think I had it open already. Module CSS. If you haven't seen that you can nest your CSS,
It's beautiful.
I'm sorry to be the person. Yeah. I'm sorry to be the person that's like telling you, because this has been available for a long time. Log listing.
I will say that right now I think that it's supported in Safari 2 updates back, but with an and clause, being that in order for it to work in Safari 2 updates behind, you need to include the ampersand in order for this to work. And the only reason I suggest that is because John and I's previous employer, we had a rule of, in order for a new feature to be supported, it had to be supported 2 Safari versions back, because people don't like to update their Macs.
And you know what? I don't even worry about them. Show them a blank screen.
I do have an advantage. BJ is totally right here. I do have one little advantage that is different than most of you for the sites that you're building.
John's just smarter than all of us.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. I'm saying officially for the website, I need to support this.
There we go. There we go.
I need to support the latest version of Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. Other browsers are just awesome if we end up if it works right for them.
I love it.
The other side to this too is y'all developers, you don't let your browser get out of date, except for AJ. AJ does that all the time. Every time he screen shares, I see that little Chrome.
It bothers me, button. AJ.
I don't even want to screen share, because let's just say I have probably minimum 10 different Chrome windows open, and each one of those has at minimum 10 tabs. And it's just, I'm surprised my computer has not seriously blown up. Like, I might take part of next week to just like reorganize everything, or just be risky and just, clear it all and start anew.
It's 1 o'clock.
That's good. By the way, it's 1 o'clock in Illinois. I gotta turn it off. So.
Speaking of which, that means that we have been going for a while now. I'm feeling surprisingly. Maybe it's the lack of sleep. I was sleep deprived most of this week, and BJ was feeling sick, and Dennis, it's hot where he is, and AJ, I think you also said that you were tired. Maybe it's a sleep deprivation talking, but I'm okay with going a little bit longer to get this a little bit closer to what the actual mock-up looks like. But if y'all are feeling a little bit tired, or you think that things are taking too long, we can cut it and we can pick it up another time. Let's see, IE11, why not? Do we have polyfill? So IE11 is not even supported by Microsoft anymore. In fact, the last I heard, if you were using IE11, they forced.
No, that wasn't a joke at all.
So, IE11, if you try to use it, in certain situations, it will actually force you into Microsoft Edge.
I have
Fun
this.
fact.
I have an image of my great grandmother at a computer right now using IE11. That's how it feels to me.
All right.
All right, what you working on, John? Where are we going here?
All right, I am just grabbing this border color, and I believe it might be Solaris, DJ Solaris again.
Yeah.
But I want to double check. So I'm going to open up.
Any fun hover effects happening with these, or is this just straight up static looking stuff?
Great idea. I didn't think about an animation or anything. What do you guys think?
I say
what
keep
would
it
be
simple
cool?
to start. Keep it simple to start.
All right, color is Lorax. Just so you know. Just so you know. All right, we'll go into that module CSS again. Where did I? Oh, there it
Don't
is.
listen to the guy who doesn't update his Chrome.
Yeah. Whatever, AJ.
I mean, I would say that I would love to see it have different colors based upon the severity of the changelog issue, but that's gonna have to be something we have to think through and figure out how we're gonna do that.
Just a little flame that slowly builds.
So I'm actually doing this in a different way than I actually will really do it. So I'm not going to put it on the time element. Here's why. So the time element is, and I apologize that Figma, when you put it inside of VS Code, it looks kind of funky. But so the time element is this guy. And I was going to put the border on this, but I actually want it to be on the other element. And the reason is because of the height. We want to get the height of this to be the same. There is a way that you could do it because we're using Flex, but I'm feeling lazy. It just seems like the better thing to do, put it on the other element. So I'm going to do that.
Where's that announced versus live thing coming in?
Announced versus live.
Yeah, right. If you go back to the comp.
So we had mentioned it earlier. So the announced and live is actually coming from. Let me just close everything. It's these dates here. So it's what we were talking about, where when you go to, this is not a good example. When you go to some posts, there is a we'll go to the CLI one again. We have a live date. So this live date is in the future. It's September 10th, 2024. We want to advertise that the change goes into effect on that date. I might ask the designer here on whether we want to show both dates on this module instead of just showing live when it's live versus this is when it was announced. I don't know.
What's the value of the
subjective.
announced part of it? Like, what value does that bring to the person reading this?
I mean, my thinking is that if you have not been following the changelog very well, and all of a sudden, like, something broke on you, you were doing something funky in Hubble, like you broke a limit, and we started enforcing it. That is a thing, by the way. That is a new changelog item that I think it's under already announced.
Yeah. I'm thinking like
Under-
at a glance here, if I come to the page, I would like to see when it's live. And if I want to know more about the announced, I could go into the actual individual post and see announced and then live as well.
I'm on that.
Yeah,
team,
so
dude.
I mean, I think there's a way that we can accomplish both of these. Like literally having, if it's live, it would be the the brighter text, and then like a muted text if it's both live and announced. So like, if
Oh,
you're
wait.
two variables, like kind of like you have your first and your second, you know, white, and then once it's announced, right? For instance, this one here that's April 12th is announced.
So
Once it comes live, we make
So I think there's some verbiage issue here
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So like live on is probably
That's-
what it
yeah.
should say or something. Yeah. So live means it hasn't happened, like it's not released yet, but we're telling you about it in advance. And announced is the change is already here, and it's probably not like a breaking change. So it's like something like we released a new feature. It's just there. Use it,
no.
kind of thing.
And honestly, that's something that like would love everybody's feedback on too. Like if there's something that's missing out of the change log that you think is important, like let us know.
Mhm.
This is the part where we're probably going to be looking at updating our change log since we're going to be updating this site as well. So it definitely kind of goes hand in hand where like tell us what's missing off the change log. You know, like the things that we want to do because we've got ideas ourselves, but you know, we don't want to just like throw a kitchen sink at you guys. We'd rather have it be something that you actually want as opposed to like a bell and whistle where I'm like, this is really cool. Let's do this. And everyone else is like, this is pointless. We don't need it.
Right.
So
What if what the people want is to know what current version of Chrome you're on at all moments in time?
I actually did just update a couple days ago because I was having issues browsing some sites, and then I realized that was about 2 versions out. So,
That's hilarious. All right, so I just did that change that I mentioned earlier where I moved it.
John, can we get that off of one single line so it's like a normal developer's writing this that's readable?
Did I just get some shade thrown at me?
You
That,
really did.
are you telling me that's some like 2018 spin group developer stuff there, not modern?
I don't know what you're doing there, but guys, nobody's brought it up in the comments yet.
Oh no. See, I don't even know what Arc is doing, so I'm having all the problems this morning. All right, there we go. All right, so looks hideous, at least with this. We're gonna need to set an actual width on something here to make it more uniform. But we're off to a good start, and still using those logical properties for folks who were not aware or saw the prior stream. Just gonna quickly show that again. Oh, hello.
How are you
Browser's
flexing
doing
that
all-
whole container? The individual like article container?
No, I thought it was just each. Oh yeah, individual articles. I think it was a flex on that, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the list item itself is display flex.
Yeah, so you should just be able to on like, oh, well, you'll have to write.
I think I know what you're getting at. You're saying that I should do this.
You can use the
probably.
flex property on the. But see, so a choice that I would have made would have been to also put a div around the, like, I would have made a left side div and a right side div so that they're both living in their own container. Specifically because at some point you're going to want to put some like text above that, which then will ruin what you're doing now with that star.
That's
thing.
fair. That's fair. That is a better way to do that because time, if we do what we were talking about earlier, where we display both times, this will be a problem. So let's do that. Div. Let's add a class, and we will copy most of this and call it save, and then so that BJ doesn't cry. We're gonna. All right.
No, John.
They
I
hold
think
you
there's
back,
a
John, with trick
more
questions.
article on the bottom of it that's clickable at this point.
Full list item, clickable. So I have mixed feelings about doing that. I don't think it's a bad idea generally. However, all of this text, if you make this whole, oh my gosh, I tapped my earbud again and Apple Music is back. This is gonna make great clips. That it's anyway. Okay. You're gonna make the host item clickable. Okay, so the con is if you make this whole thing an anchor element, including that read more, guess what gets read out? The whole thing. The whole thing is the text of the link. And if you are listening to that on a screen reader, that's a little bit taxing. You could do a bunch of ARIA labels and do some like maybe ARIA hidden or something. And I don't like it. I think what we will do is we will probably make the title be a link. We will make the read more be a link. It is redundant, so it does mean that someone with a screen reader, they are going to have one annoying experience, and that would be that they're going to see both links. I might think about that a moment, though, and actually talk to Tanya Scales, who is fabulous with accessibility. She is a HubSpot engineer, and she might have some interesting insights on that I could post on LinkedIn later. I think we might be able to maybe make that first link be ARIA hidden and still keep the read more part so that we get the read more about the screen reader text. So super fun stream. Thanks for joining us, Anton. It's been a pleasure, and you're going to have more comments in this site referring to your name than anybody, I think.
Hey, John, let's give this like, I don't know, 5-ish more minutes or so. Wrap up what we're doing right here. Get one of these list items done, and then we'll end this. I'm just tired of looking at you. It's just the problem.
I actually have to jump off right now. I have something I got to go attend to.
Good seeing you, my friend.
All right.
See you later.
Now that AJ's gone.
All right. 20 pixels. What? That is not 20 pixels. Figma. What?
Figma would not lie.
Figma,
to
you're
you.
lying. There's no way. There's just no way.
Maybe we try it and see.
20 pixels is huge.
Don't fight Figma. Are you that person on like when you do directions with Google Maps, you have a long fight with it prior to actually leaving?
No. No, that is not me. You know what? Maybe 20 pixels isn't so far off. Because I guess
all of a sudden,
one rem would be 16 pixels in our case. So I guess 20 pixels.
Why are you choosing the inline start versus just padding?
Yeah, great question. So brought this up on the prior stream. Let me add.
You were paying attention last time, BJ.
Wasn't paying any attention.
All right. It is just direction. I think it's direction. So we're not necessarily going to support every language, but notice what happens here. If you're reading this site in a language that reads right to left, HubSpot Developer's website will just adapt Some of these things need some tweaks for that, like the recent update switching here. But as you can see, the website will just still look good. That's what we're going for with that. It makes things easier. There's also something I showed off on a prior stream was writing mode. And this actually gets cool when it comes to the animation here. Let me just change. Actually, I'll just do it on this element. So writing mode only gets used in some languages. It's probably not ever going to be affecting the HubSpot developers website, but this is still fun to do. So writing mode. So for context, the way that these dots are set up, Anton coded this. They are spans, span elements, which means they're inline elements, which, because they're inline elements, they act like text. And so if we change the writing mode to vertical, suddenly we get something that looks a little bit familiar. Now, if I go into the Morse items here and I re-trigger the animation, we might get sued by Time Warner. Just joking there.
Matrixy something. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So
with the padding though on the other side, are you saying that if you just do padding, 20, because is there padding on the top and bottom already? Like in the comps?
Yeah, so there is padding on top and bottom, and there's well, not on these. Well, I guess on these elements there is going to be some padding, possibly right above here or a margin, just so that it lines up with that. But if you use CSS logical properties, so you use inline. Inline means like if it's an inline element, so like text, and it means the left and right sides if you're speaking English or in a language that writes that way. And if you use block, so padding block, this is also just a good tip in general. One of the cool parts about these CSS logical properties is in CSS normally with padding, there's no way to make, say, the top, like to set the top and the bottom padding without affecting the left and the right. If you're to just do this, so like if you're going to go padding, I mean, you could do inherit maybe, but that might not be, or initial, but that might not be the value you're expecting. Whereas padding block is equivalent to both padding top and padding bottom at the same time.
I don't understand. What's the difference between like just using padding 0, 10 pixels or something like that, where it's affecting the sides?
Why you gotta be fancy like this?
So setting padding like that is okay. So if you're just using padding like this, it is okay. However, it is not as declarative. It will still work. But if you are, what I was saying is if I don't want to set the padding for the left and right sides, I only want to set the top and bottom. Or actually, that's a worse example. Better example is the inline size. So I don't want to change. Maybe you could do inherit, but let's say I want to add padding on the sides, so 12 pixels. And let me get rid of this. So I don't actually want to set this value. I don't want to change my top and bottom. I want it to inherit from somewhere else or just be the default. If you're just using padding, you can't directly do that. You might be able to use inherit. I'm not sure if that's the exact same value or not. But if you use padding block or padding inline, you can do that. You can set just one of these properties at a time, or you can set both the top and bottom in the same shorthand Or if you want to set, say, padding top or set padding, well, I'll use this example because it's actually written here. So this is padding left is inline start. So it's actually, if you use Flexbox, you're already using these values in the same way. Does that make sense?
Ish.
Yeah,
I know. I
yeah,
think I need to see some. I think examples. I mean, you don't have to do it right now, obviously. I think I just need to look at some side by side examples of it. I get the this inline start, this stuff here. This is pretty. I get that. I just didn't get the padding block business.
Okay, padding block is the same thing as the inline left and right, but it does vertical. And so the only time that it's truly critical is if someone might change the writing mode.
Yeah.
And there may be another situation for when this would matter. I can't think of it right now, but so developer's website was not designed to be viewed this way. That's why it looks comically bad like this. But actually, I recall direction. Never mind. I don't know, but it wasn't meant to be viewed this way. It makes the page work like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we're horizontally scrolling the whole page. But so the reason you would change the writing mode is if you have a language that can be written vertically, it is optional to make that be written vertically on the web. So Mandarin, I think, supports that. I'm not sure if Japanese. There's a few other languages that can be vertical. So that's the reason. Padding block will change it.
Right. If I want to add padding to the left of text and to the right of text, right, and say that the left padding in English is supposed to be more than the right padding, that if I just add padding left and padding right, that when we switch to a language that reads right to left, it won't be a mirrored design. The padding left will stay larger than the padding right. But if I switch to inline start and inline end, I imagine is the other one, that those will flip when the language flips.
Yeah, the start end makes sense to me. I get that.
Yeah. Yep. You got it exactly. So if you do right, it's always going to be right. So even if the language is reading the other direction, now all of a sudden, say you added this padding here, and say we're using like gap or something to create the spacing on this. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that just yet, but all of a sudden there would be no gap anymore. And I can try to demo that real fast.
Yeah, no, you should, to get that left side, you should just be able to tell it to not grow, not shrink, and then flex it at a specific width.
All right, and then if I change this back now, so this is to visualize what I was talking about.
Yeah.
If we're using padding right, all of a sudden that padding is now on the right still, even if the writing direction is the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Block does the same thing, but for writing mode and vertical.
Gotcha. Noted with thanks. John, you have, I said 5 minutes. You are almost out of that time, so make it snappy, my friend. And for, while you are doing this, we have not decided. So the next week is going to be a weird week. We have not really fully decided how we're going to handle it. Some people are going to be here, some people will be gone. I will update on the LinkedIn, etc. if we are going to have it. But yeah, that's happening. It's on. It's listed as happening next Friday. We'll just keep an eye on it. Make sure.
100%. Yeah. We'll update y'all, or you'll just suddenly, if you subscribe to the notification, you're just not going to get a notification.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Matrix language is supported. Yes.
Always. With that being said,
All
I think
right,
we're going to
well-
wrap it here, John. Are you good to go?
I think
right.
so. I think so. I'll keep working on this over the next week and everything. So
Cool. All
Have a
right,
great one.
BJ, thanks for doing this as well. And John, as always, you're doing an incredible job. To all the people who are still here, they made it almost 2 hours. Wow. Well done. I'm proud of you, and you deserve lots of candy. Have a great weekend and stay cool.